Welcome back to this beginner's belly dance course with me, Lindsey Marie Silver, here at Little Egypt Studio in Scotland. In this session, we're going to build on the previous one. We're going to look at the movements that you've been enjoying in a bit more detail. I'm going to give you lots of pointers as to how you can avoid some of the common errors, how you can work with your posture to enhance the movements, enjoy beauty and well-being in your dancing. Let's dive into it. So coming into your basic stance, spread out through your toes, relax and release through your feet and your ankles, bend through your knees, tuck your hips into that neutral position. Use your pelvic floor muscles to do that, release through your back. Coming up through your rib cage, expand upwards and outwards. Bring the shoulders forwards and up, back and down. Really opening up through the chest. Deep breath here. And as you breathe out, let's bring alignment throughout the full length of spine. Crown of the head comes to the sky, tailbone sinks deeper into the ground. Deep breath here. Fueling each of the muscles as we're using them, so that we can dance for longer without fatiguing. Dance more elegantly. Perhaps bringing a raise of your arms, this gentle lateral raise. Bring the elbows back. And from here, let's start to work with that slide of the hip directly out to the side. Bring it in through center, take it across. And you want to feel that lengthening stretch through waist. If your hips are in neutral, you might feel a little bit of a stretch through your low abs, through your hip flexors at the front of your hips. So in these current times, lots of people finding that they're not doing their usual commute to work. Perhaps they're working from home, maybe you are yourself. And that tends to mean that there's a little bit less activity during the day perhaps, and we're spending a bit more time sitting. Why is that relevant to our belly dancing? Well, most people tend to have, in modern day times, the way that we use our bodies, most people have short, strong hip flexors and weak glutes. And as soon as you have short, strong hip flexors and weak, long glutes, what happens is it shifts your hip out of neutral. And so you have this pronounced curve of your low and mid back. You can have tension in there as a result because those muscles are shortened. And generally it can be difficult to layer a movement on top of there. So we're just going to be mindful of that, and we're going to really start now to bring the muscles of pelvic floor in together and upwards. Draw them upwards. So drawing them inwards and upwards. And with that, you'll find that activation through your low muscles of abs comes into play. It might also mean being a little bit conscious to bring your hips ever so slightly forwards. So we got that tucked under motion. You've got a nice bend through your knees, but there might also be just the fraction, tiny fraction, half an inch, maybe less, of bringing your pelvis forwards. So neither side leading, but just coming directly forwards and shifting your weight around your entire foot, rather than what can come in when you have this pelvic tilt, is you can shift your weight through your heels, and often there's a hyperextension through your knees. So just, if that might be you right now, if you think that could be you, just bend through your knees all the more, tuck the hips, use pelvic floor muscles, maybe shift your hips ever so slightly forward. And you'll just find that things can be layered on top there. Movements will flow so much more fluidly. It'll feel nicer, it'll look more elegant, and it will be more health boosting. So I just wanted to touch on that just because it's relevant always in modern day, the way that we use our bodies, but particularly right now that feels relevant. So with that in mind, let's start to bring a little bit faster movement perhaps through the hips. Now let's bring in an element of that anchoring through your upper half to keep the upper half nice and still and steady. You could come into genie pose with your hands in your heart space. Perhaps that helps you to keep your upper half hovering, floating in midair. And then creating the illusion that just the low half of the body is moving. But of course, if you were to, work a little bit deeper on a more of a microcosm level, you would see that the entire body is moving the whole time. You're using muscles, contracting and releasing muscles in order to create the appearance that just the low half is moving. So in this case, of course, we're using 3 sets of muscles, and those are your upper abs, front and back of shoulders, and in between your shoulder blades. We could do that a little bit faster, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Make it faster and bigger. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Often making a movement faster in belly dance can be associated with also making the movement smaller, but not always. Sometimes you can go in a totally different route with that, and you can still produce a big movement, but just do it faster. So you didn't take anything out, you just literally speed that up. All right, let's bring that into center. Nice, well done. Let's take that into the upper half now. So we're gonna slide here through the rib cage. Now, if you recall, you're gonna keep your shoulders in alignment with the ground, but you're not gonna really isolate out those muscles and contract so that you got all this tension creeping in. You're just gonna be mindful to slide along. How are we doing that? How are you keeping that shoulder level in alignment just as you did with the hips? So in the low half of the body, of course, we used your knees to do that. In the upper half of the body, we of course don't have the knee joint there to help us with that, but what we do have is an increased extension through your side. So not just your external obliques and internal obliques, we're also going to work all the way up towards just underneath your arm. Slide, 2, 3, 4, slide, 2, 3. Now, as you've done that, have your shoulders creeped up gradually, and you didn't notice. If they have, take a deep breath, and as you breathe out, just lower your shoulders down, bring the shoulder blades together, slide them down your back. Another thing to just look out for, have your elbows dropped into baby seagull. I don't know what sound the baby seagull makes right now. Give it a few months and I surely will know. They like to land on the roof here. All right, and you think they're dinosaurs because seagulls are just getting bigger every year, aren't they? What's with that? Okay, and then that's the seagull chat done for this session, pretty sure. And then, so we're in elegant swan, so we're bringing our elbows back towards the back wall. Nice. Now, you think about the 3 sets of muscles we're using to anchor through the low half here and move the upper half. What might those be? You can drop your hands down for now if you'd like to. If you guessed that you're using your calf muscles, you guessed right. If you guessed you're using your thighs, focusing on visualizing the upper thigh, you also guessed right. Whee! If you guessed your pelvic floor muscles, you also guessed right. Give yourself 3 points if you got them all. Woo! And an extra added point for being super awesome. Yay! If you couldn't remember, that is absolutely okay. We're here to make lots of mistakes because that means we're learning. And so if you weren't entirely sure, you can, of course, look back over that playlist, the Beginner's Belly Dance playlist on YouTube. You'll find the class within this course where we really zoned in on anchoring, such an important fundamental of any style of belly dance. Okay, so we got the slides going on. Let's take that into a circle now. So we're gonna bring the hip out to the side using one of those slides. Bring it back, out to the side. Bring it all the way forwards. Try to take it back the other direction. Nice. Beautiful. Okay, let's do a few rotations this direction. So we're gonna go side, bring it back to the side, bring it forwards. Bit faster maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Try anchoring through your upper half here. Other side. Bring it all the way around. Yes, well done. Well done. Everybody joining me live here on Zoom. Thank you so much for being here. This is awesome. I see the focus, the concentration. Looks like you've really been working hard on this. Wow, well done. Really refining that technique now. Defining and refining that technique. Amazing. And if you're joining us, catching up on YouTube, thank you so much for being here. It's amazing to be able to share with you. Thank you to our Patreon supporters. I'm able to go ahead and upload some of what we're doing here and sharing with you on a wider level. So let's now, should we try a combo? Are you ready for a combo? Are you ready for a combination in your belly dance journey, looking at the basics, starting to build it up from there? Do you think? Yes! So I'm going to keep it really, really simple, but it's just something that you can have a little play around with over the coming days if you want to. So just utilizing those two movements that we had, the slide and the circle. Let's bring ourselves into that basic stance that we have. Now remembering that additional posture technique I mentioned towards the beginning, if that's relevant for you. So what we're going to do here is we're going to circle the hip round and then we're going to go into slides. All right, so here we go. We're going to bring the hip out to the side, bring it back to the side, bring it forwards, take it out to the side and slide and slide. This time, circle the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, slide, slide, slide. And then we're going to pause. So we got a circle all of the way around, and then we got slide, 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 pause. Circle 2, 3, 4, slide, 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 pause. Circle 2, 3, 4, slide, 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 pause. Sound good? All right, let's work with that then. Here we go. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, slide, 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 pause. Circle 2, 3, 4, slide, 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 pause. Circle 2, 3, oh wow, 4, slide, 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 pause. Well done. So this is a rolling combination, so it changes lead side. So you might start this combination off on your right side, but when you come to complete it the next time on the left side, it's changed to that side, enabling you to roll with that. Many, many goes, many, many goes. Let me do that to the other side. You could have a little bit of fun with that. Here we go. So we're gonna 1, 2, 3, 4, slide, slide, slide. Yes, how did you go? How did you get on there? Let's try to the other side. All right, here we go this way. We're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. Slide, slide, slide. Yes! So you can work with that combination. I'll let you have some fun with that in your own time. So let's come in now. We're gonna have a little look at a movement that we did before, a hip drop, and we're gonna build it up. So you're on your ball of one foot, bend through your knee, tuck your hips under, raise up through your arms, framing. So in that nice posture, you're gonna lift the hip all the way up and release. Lift, release. You're anchoring through the upper half. You wanna steady your height as well, and you're gonna do that utilizing those supporting leg, the supporting muscles. So you're allowing those muscles to lengthen and release to counteract that natural bobbing that might want to take place. So you're using muscle control through the thighs. You're gonna feel that in your thighs. Let's do that a little bit faster now. 1, 2, 3, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, 3, 2. Yes. Take it to the other side so we can step back and come into that movement. You're picking up on the other side as the lead leg. The hips are tucked under. So remember we said we don't want to have this hyperextension through the back. You're going to tuck the hips directly under. We're lift and lower. Drop, 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 drop. Woo! Drop, 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 drop. Yes! Now we're going to bring it parallel. Here's where it gets even more fun. We're going to bring the feet parallel, bend through one knee and then through the other. So you're dropping through one side, drop through the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Gorgeous. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep it nice and steady and center. Use those anchoring muscles. Woohoo! You can make that even faster. Bend through your knees. So it's really, really bending through the knees. And it's an interesting combination between using the muscles of the knee, so contracting the muscles that surround the knee joint in order that you can produce that movement, but also keeping it soft enough so that there's free flow of that movement. So it's not like we're using those muscles that surround the knee, because actually that in itself, there's not much you can do with a really, really, like blood doesn't flow through a constricted muscle. I feel this is actually a really good metaphor for life as well. So it's soft. In this particular shimmy, although we're using those muscles, it's soft, it's relaxed. Whee! Well done. Help yourself to some hydration if you would like some, and then we're going to come back. Have a look at those figures of 8, and then a little bit of a camel. All right. So always a really good idea just to stay hydrated, top up, top up. I'm enjoying some coconut water at the moment. All right. So coming into center then. What of these figures of 8? So the figures of 8 we've been enjoying. Horizontal figure of 8, venturing into the world of vertical figure of 8 as well. So we're in the basic stance. Bend through your knees, tuck through your hips, lift through. Deep breath in. As you breathe out, bend even more through one side. We're gonna lengthen through the waist. You're gonna come all the way down and bring it all the way up and round. Then we're gonna bend down through the other side, slide down diagonal, bring it all the way up and round. We're going to bend. Push all the way outwards and upwards. But as you do that, of course, being honoring to your own physiology. All the way up and round. Bend. Extend. So as with everything that we do in our classes together, if something doesn't feel right for you in this moment, don't do it. Always start with a small movement pattern, see how it feels, and then you can increase it from there if it feels good for you. So we can bend, slide diagonal, lift all the way upwards. As you do that, keep that hip in neutral so that you're not crunching through those muscles. Your upper half anchoring through there. Yes. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is with the hip coming down to the ground, going all the way round and up. Slide down diagonal, bend through your knee. It's a huge bend through your knee to achieve that. And then as we come up and round, you're going to extend some of the way through the knee, but keep a little bit of a bend there. It's going to protect the knee joint. It's going to make the movement more beautiful. And it's also going to ensure that the next time you come to do a repetition of that, you've got somewhere to go to, because if you're working from an extended knee, there isn't really anywhere you can go with that except from out to the side. So if you want to bring a movement pattern, a movement plane, which is on a vertical here, you really need to have that bend of the knee to allow that, to facilitate that. And then also, as we said in the previous session, the more that you do this movement, the more that you can do this movement. When you first come to do a vertical figure of 8, often if you're unpracticed or untrained and you're just learning, you tend to perhaps not have the flexibility through your spine. You maybe don't have the flexibility through the muscles of your waist and your external obliques and your internal obliques. And sometimes it's that you need to bring more of a bend through the knees. So these are like 3 key things. If you feel like, well, I think I've got it going on, but I just don't really see much happening, I don't really feel very much happening, it could be that. It could be a flexibility issue. And just through the practice of it itself, you're going to build up that flexibility. You're also going to build up the strength that works alongside that flexibility, because all the muscles are always working in pairings. So if you have one side of the body that is working to be short and strong, the other side is going to be longer and a bit more, let's say, weaker, but maybe also it's just more, it's softer. So it allows for stretch. All right, so we're going to bend, bring it all. I feel like if we say weaker in this sense, that feels like maybe that's a negative, but not always in the body. If it's a temporary thing, then no, absolutely not. It indicates flexibility and adaptability. So just because we use in the physiological sense the word weaker, I don't want you to think that that's necessarily bad. It's not. It can be, but not in this sense. Here we go. Give it a shot. Really bend through your knee. Allow the waist to lengthen. Relax into it. You bring your hands in front. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, another thing that tends to happen whenever you come into this vertical figure of 8, most people will find that one aspect of the movement feels, woo, quite large, quite voluptuous, but the other dimension of the movement feels like maybe a bit, excuse me, maybe a bit smaller, maybe almost a bit flat. So it might be that you have your upward curve of your figure of 8 might be like, woo, but then it kind of comes along like this. And then same on the other side, the hip might come all the way up and round and over, but then it's flatlining. So how do we address that? First of all, we address that by being aware of that. If you're aware of something, then instantly that sends a signal to the muscles doesn't it? So let's have a little shot now with that in mind. So it might be that the upwards aspect is really big, or it might be the downwards aspect is really big. What tends to happen is if you're doing a regular figure of 8, so drawing the hip down on diagonal first of all and then coming up and over, what you'll find is the downwards is often really quite big, but then the up and over is not so big. So here, key to addressing that is literally, if it's in the regular movement pattern where you're bringing the hip down to the ground and up and round, down to the ground, up and round, real instant way you can change up that movement entirely is by binging an even bigger bend to your knees. Coins are falling in abundance. So really bring an even bigger bend to your knees when you come into the movement. So in that basic stance before you even start the movement, really bend down. Now remember we said it's not a straight bend down like this, but we're also not sticking your bum out like this. What it is driving your hips back and down. So imagine you're going to come into like a squat position, like an exercise squat position, like for glutes. So what you're going to do is you're going to just, of course with your feet about hip width, you're going to sit down into it there. Bring a bigger bend and then try it. Let's try it. You ready? You ready? Let's try. See if you can notice the difference. So really sit down into it for me now. You're going to feel this on your thighs, yes, granted, but just know that if you're in good alignment in your basic stance, this can only be good for you. Like I did a study a few years back and found that actually belly dancing, if it's done properly and in alignment and safely, is just as good, if not better, for you on a physical level and emotional actually, psychologically, than going to the gym. It's better for you than going to the gym if you do it right. Wow, that's what we're doing here. So if you're feeling that, well done, because it means that you're using the right muscles, you're in the right alignment. So you should be feeling this round about your upper thigh here, mid to upper thigh. All right, so with that big bend now, let's try. We're gonna bend even more through that knee. Bend even more for me. And then we're gonna slide down diagonal, bring the hip all the way up and round. Now, this time notice how much scope you have to bring the upper half of that figure of 8 round. And then take it on, look at this diagonal. Do you see it? Do you feel it? It's so much more pronounced of a diagonal you got going on. So this time you're gonna bend down, bring it all, look at this, how much movement we've got. Bring it all the way up and over. It's like you just found yourself a whole new, yeah? You just found yourself a whole new dimension there. How much more dynamic can your movement be when you really give yourself that gift of movement? You're giving yourself the gift of the space to work with. Make sure your hips are still in neutral. Use your pelvic floor muscles there. Be careful and be aware of perhaps over-efforting in this movement. What I mean over-efforting? Well, you might be inclined to make it as big as you possibly can. You might be overachieving and then find out that actually in the coming days, ow, that really was a bit much through my back. Just be aware of that also for me. But what I'm just giving you here is the tools to be able to make that movement really big, should you feel able to and should you want to. Wow. Try a bit faster. So this is on this one here, coming down and round. So usually what you find is that on the upwards and over, that movement's a little bit more flat than downwards. Whereas if we work the reverse of the movement, so rather than coming down and round, we actually reverse it and you bring the hip up and over. You'll see this version more in Lebanese belly dance and Turkish belly dance, whereas the Egyptian style prefers the downwards and upwards because there's more dum sounds in the music, it's earthier. Whereas Lebanese or Turkish, for example, there's more tack sounds, tack, 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 and it's lighter skywards. So with this one here, still, we're gonna bring a really big bend through the knee. This time, we're gonna extend through one knee. Not fully, never fully, but just extending some of the way, almost completely, to bring that diagonal. Yeah? Then you're gonna slide upwards this time, and then up and over as you bend through your knee to come down. And then what you've created is the upwards diagonal for the other side. So we're gonna slide upwards, all the way round and down. Up and over, up and over, up and over. Wow. Good. Now in this one here, often people report being able to create that up and over in quite a big movement pattern. It feels very big, it's delicious, it's just really juicy. But on the downwards, it flatlines. So just being aware to bring that movement all of the way down, bend, 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 before starting to come up again on the other side. Bring it down, bend, 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 bend. When you reach that furthest, the furthermost position is then when you're going to slide up and over, up and over. Wow, wow, wow. Give it a little shot. Maybe a bit faster, maybe a bit smaller. Regular, take it that direction, and reverse. Wow, wow, that's amazing. Help yourself to some hydration. We're gonna finish off with a little bit of a camel and bringing a few of those movements together. Woohoo! So the camel movement then, we're gonna take a deep breath in. We're in our basic stance. As you breathe in, you're gonna raise up through the low section of rib cage. Then you're gonna roll the movement down through your spine as you actually shift your weight back a little bit into your heels. Then you're gonna draw the rib cage back and down like that. Then we're gonna engage through your upper abs, engage through your mid abs, release your upper abs. Engage through your low abs, release mid. Engage through your pelvic floor, release low. You think that's difficult to do? Try saying it at the same time. Let's take a deep breath in. Let's try again. Are you ready? Well, let's give it a shot. Deep breath in. You're going to extend, lift your rib cage upwards, and then that's going to create this space so that you can pull back, bring the rib cage all the way back, pull in with your upper abs, your mid abs, your low abs, your pelvic floor, bend through your knees, tilt through your hips. All right, let's try that again. Here we go. Lift up. Breathe in. We're going to roll the movement down. Yes. Try again. And as you come to complete that movement, your hips are returning literally just to neutral. You don't want to hyperextend through there. You want to keep the hips neutral like that. So we're going to lift up, roll down, knees bend, hips tilt just to neutral. You're going to lift up, roll down. So you go upper abs, mid abs, low abs, pelvic floor, return into neutral, and release and relax. Here we go. Breathe in, lift up, roll it down the spine, pull in with upper abs, mid abs, release upper, low abs, release mid, pelvic floor, release low, release. Here we go. Let's try that a little bit faster, and let's try rolling that around so that there's one after another, after another, after another. Should we give it a shot? So if you remember the last time we had I brought the little snaky over. And so it's this serpentine movement that's flowing down your body, down through your spine, down through your muscles. So we're going to try that now. We're going to just lift up, roll down, knees bend, hips tilt. Lift up, roll down, knees bend, hips tilt. Lift up, roll down, knees bend, hips tilt. Don't be afraid to make your belly as big as possible in that outwards phase. Lift up, roll down. Lift up, roll down. Lift up, roll down. Lift up, roll down. Up, roll down. Up, roll down. Lift up, roll down. Up, roll down. Up, roll down. Up, roll down. Wow. Up, roll down, up, roll down, up, roll down, up, roll down. Make it big and slow, make it nice and smooth. Wow. All right, so I'll give you a fun way of visualizing this. I often find if you've got something to visualize, it really, really helps to remember. And if you know, it's like if you know how you're doing something, you've got visual, it stays with you, you're more likely to do it and break it down. So one thing that really has worked for me with this movement years ago when I first learned it was to visualize wearing a belt. Imagine you're wearing a belt around your waist, and attached to the belt is a gigantic big spoon. Okay, right at the front of your hip is a gigantic big spoon on a belt. And in front of that is a big tub of ice cream. That could be dairy-free or, you know, whatever works for you, but it's something that you can scoop with that movement. So imagine you're wearing that belt, spoon, and the ice cream tub, and what you're going to do is you're going to see if you can flip that spoon to get a big scoop of ice cream and bring it into your mouth. And then scoop that ice cream. Yeah? Scoop the ice cream. Yum. I find that works every time. So you can have a little play around with that idea, that visual. Who knows? Maybe even try it out. If you try that, let us know what flavor of ice cream you went for. What's your favorite kind of ice cream? Very good question. Wow, that was amazing. We're just going to finish off bringing those movements together, combining that with a little cool down stretch. This will play. Come on. Oh, okay, it stopped working. I think this could be a little Mercury retrograde thing. Let me just switch this off and back on. No, it's not working. So I'm going to change this to here. Okay, we're going to go here instead. Apologies for that little delay there. Let's use this piece of music instead. This is by Beats Antique. All right, so we had slides. Take it up top. Bring it down, hips, into circle. We're gonna bring the hip out to the side, bring it back. To the side, bring it forward, reverse, side, bring it back. To the side, bring it forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, combo slide, 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 nice. 1, 2, 3, 4, slide, 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 yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, slide, slide, slide. 1, 2, 3, 4, slide, slide, side. Wow, camel, lift, roll down. Knees bend, hips tilt, lift up, roll down. Knees bend, hips tilt, lift up, roll down, up, roll down, up, roll down. Into figure of 8. Here we go. Let's bring it down first and up. Really bend through knees. Make that a bit faster maybe. Reverse if you can, if you want to. Wow, that's amazing. Let's take a big wide stance, hands come up towards the sky. We're going to lengthen out through the waist. Take that on diagonal, bring it out in front of you. And up in center, unwinding each individual vertebrae. Other side. Take it on diagonal, all the way round in front. Bring it up through center. Wow. Deep breath in. As you breathe out. Thank you so much for being here. Hopefully that added lots of tips for you there. Things to look out for, little bad habits that might creep in. We want to stay on the side of doing things for well-being that really, really work for you, but also make your dance beautiful at the same time. Wow! If you've enjoyed this video, please remember to like, subscribe, and hit notifications so you can be informed of when the next video goes up. If you'd like to support the creation of these videos, remember you can head along to patreon.com/Little Egypt Studio, where you'll find a community of other enjoyers of these videos. See you soon. Bye.